just works this time. All right, I guess we are actually doing the thing. So if you guys want, say hey in the chat. I just did. And yeah, check it out because right now I am doing some weird, wacky stuff. This, what you're looking at right now, is called HISE, and it is an environment that I program in and create software instruments and effects. Right now, I'm working on kind of a Lord of the Rings inspired synth here. Haven't had a lot to it. I can't talk. I'm too tired. But right now, I've just got a sort of wavetable, not wavetable, but a wave generator type synth, an oscillator, etc., set up in here. And I made some stuff for it, a backdrop and a preset browser. It's involved. It's a bit big. Right now I've got a little AHDSR here and volume knob here that you can see. And I created this knob completely from scratch. I don't know how well this shows up, but as you turn the knob, it lights up and all of the gears inside of it move and these little things flip around. I did it all from scratch. I did built it all in Plasticity, took it into Blender, did all the UV mapping, and in Substance Painter I did all the textures and everything, and then took it back, did all the lighting in Blender and the animation. Then I exported it out into a strip generator, and then out of there brought it into HISE as a knob. So as you can see, when I turn this up, all of those mechanics work, and the little part here closes like so with the lights up to show how high you have the thing set, so you can turn your knob up and down and have it and there's a glass dome over the whole thing. The only way that it's given away right now is just that little highlight there. I wish I could have maybe made that a little more obvious, but it's kind of difficult just getting glass to look really good in the way that I rendered this. So anyway, you get it, I think. But yeah, we've got our little knobs. And so with that, let's just zoom back out here. And so they work really well. All of these are set the same way. This is a multiple, we have an oscillator based synth here, and we could make it multiple, but right now I just have the one. I was doing a kind of a how-to video-ish kind of thing. And then I've got two samplers here that are basically controlled by level. But not only are there two samplers, you have multiple sounds within each sampler that you can select. So I'm going to turn down this one and turn on just this Galadriel's flute. So that's completely without any effects or anything like that. It's a very dry signal. I actually played those flutes here for real in my living room and for the microphone here. So they are sampled from the real thing. Whoops. I keep punching the microphone. I apologize for that. I'm going to turn this camera just a little bit so I can actually put my hands on the keys here a little bit, but all right. So with the synth mixed into that, now granted, it's on a real basic setup, so it's not going to play anything pretty, but so I can turn this up and down a little bit. You get the idea. All right, so and then I've got a second sound, so I'm going to turn down the first one. The second sampler, this has also the same sounds on it right now, so you can mix and match them as you go. But this one is going to be on Celeborn's Dream here. So far, you know, I got a couple of sounds here, or a couple of samplers and an oscillator built in. I'm going to put another oscillator in here with a control. All of this will probably change, to be honest with you. All the scripting, I put all this in here today as well. And yeah, sometimes it's hard to figure out what does what. And then you go back and realize, oh, I forgot to name this, that, and so forth. And then suddenly it works. Yeah, so there's that. Now on this oscillator here, I have the second one turned off. This is a dual oscillator waveform generator. And if I turn on the second one, now we can start layering these. And if I knock this octave down to a, let's say, a lower sound, for some reason we are not able to turn this on. I'm trying to get this to change its octave. It seems like I'm locked out of it for some reason. Even the mix is off. So that's probably because I've got this in an oscillator container. So what I'm going to do is see if I can actually copy this and pull it out of here or something like that, or recreate the oscillator is what I might have to do, which means I have to recreate the HDSR. I'm just going to see if add processor before this module. Nope. I just wanted to see if we could pull it out of there. I don't know why it wouldn't let you, but it doesn't, which I think is a little unfair, but you get the idea. So I'm thinking about making a second one that goes in there. I could even come over here and just create a second. Oh, I know why. I didn't turn on my editing there. So hang on. Let's find out now. I'm going to close up the rest of these stack of modules and stuff here that make all of this work. It's kind of a behind the scenes stack of like units and modules that we're using to do all of this. And so I'm going to go to this oscillator. I'm going to see if I can pull it back out, which I believe that I can. If I go, let me just open all these things. I'm going to take this one and just yank it up here to the main, and then that should be good. And now my container should be gone for that. So that would be this container here. And then I need to take that HDSR and run that back into the modulator here, but I don't believe it's going to let me do that. And I'm going to just check and see if this still works. It will still work primarily only because we haven't recompiled. If I recompile, then this will probably no longer work. Oh, it seems that it does. Well, that's not hurting my feelings. In fact, this oscillator has nothing in it. That happens to be, I guess, the group. So let me dump that. We do still have our oscillator, which is exactly what I wanted. And if I go to it now we can turn on that second oscillator and actually the reason why that cuts off is our settings right here. Okay, so now we need to rehook our module, our volume for this guy back up to the correct oscillator here and its gain. So now we should be good to go here. So I'm gonna make this hold just last all the way. also this colorborn stream, I want to make that louder. So I'm going to go into the sampler right, which is the one we're using for that. And right here, we've got a full gain here, but I want to actually go in and make that louder. So I'm going to see here on my gain if there is a way I can boost this gain. I'm thinking if we just come in. Did I just delete this? Let's undo whatever it was we just did. We definitely don't want to kill our gain modulation or anything, which I think I did. Cool. Let's check the sampler L, which is the one we were in, and we're going to check on here. And I think I did maybe delete something here. Let me turn off our synth and turn back up our sampler. That's the left one, which we're not trying to listen to right now. We're going to try and listen to the sampler right. So I turned it down. No, I didn't. I must have taken out all the gain modulation. We'll turn that back on and add in the simple envelope that it's supposed to have. So where we go with a simple envelope. There we go. So now what we need to do is we need to add in a gain for this thing. I'm just going to see if we can add in a simple gain. That would be an effect. So we're just going to jump right into here and pop that in from here. And I don't, let's see, let's just turn it up. And that allows us to have more volume with that. And the flute should also probably have the same thing. So back to the sampler right, we're going to go to its effects here and drop in a simple gain and crank that one up as well, because it needs to be able to match this synth well enough. And then when we play the synth with it, I think that's kind of nice that you can get that mix, right? What's up, man? How's it going, Greg? Just sitting here. Been working on a plugin today. I was doing a the live stream on, well, a recording on putting it together from scratch and using some AI background imagery stuff just to make, you know, initial background stuff, and then going into Photoshop and hacking it out. And of course, now been in here doing some programming here and also putting together a lot of the functionality of it. And I'm just right now, let me just clear this console. Just needed to get all of this functional. So I made these knobs, this knob, I should say, in Plasticity. And let me just go into one of the bigger ones. And yeah, I did it completely from scratch. And actually, they're very functional and cool when you roll around. They actually, the lights come up. That's a little glass dome over it too. This was all done in Plasticity and then in Blender and Substance Painter and then back into Blender. But when you turn it up, the lights come on, the orange lights and the blue lights. There's 2 levels of those, and all the little gears turn and interact. And these little design things here, they close up like a little closing sort of blade there, if you will. So if you get the idea, yeah, pretty cool. So all of these little knobs right now are this same type. So let me know what you think, man. HISE is an audio plugin authoring program that you can do scripting in. A lot of people use only scripting. You can also do visual programming as well as something called script nodes, which is like node-based scripting that I like too, that I'm learning. for making effects units and synthesizers and stuff like that too. So I've done a lot of stuff in here, working on a few different things. But right now I'm just goofing off with. I recorded some actual samples, some actual audio playing flutes. I play a lot of instruments. So this one flute sound here. I don't know how well you can hear that or if that's too loud because these are actually samples. And it's probably a little overblown right now just because of the sampler that I put this on. I put an extra gain on to get this a little louder. So let me just pull that back a little bit. But I need to go in and adjust the timing of the samples so they start when they're supposed to. I also need to throw some effects on it and figure out where the effects are going to go for certain things. This is kind of like my single oscillator synth section here for this unit here. It's a waveform generator. And I've got two different sounds that I'm going to enable the second one here. Bring in the, why is that not? Oh, I'm going to bring in the, and it's not letting me once again turn up and down the volume for that. I don't, oh, here we go. So if I mix over to that now, so we're playing with 3 sounds there, and then 4, bringing this one in here, still with no reverb or anything on there, so it's pretty dry, but you get the idea. Yeah. Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing is plugins for DAWs. I've done reverb, compressors, synths, of course, samplers, and filters, and I mean, just pretty much everything that kind of exists. So I'm just playing with an idea of something that's kind of Lord of the Rings based. It's overly simple in my opinion right now. And then like, let's just go in here into, let's say, this sampler for this flute. I'm going to go ahead and turn down everything except for that flute, and I'm going to come into this particular unit where my samples are mapped out, and that's great. But you see there's a lag on that one, so I have to go into the actual sample editor here. I'm going to close out this map editor, and in fact, let me open the interface for that sampler specifically. And now you can see all of this. And when we click on that sample, we're going to get its image here. I do not know why that one lags, and that's something I absolutely have to figure out. So, and it could be that this sample map is the wrong one. So we click here, and now we can find it. So these two right here, you can see how that starts late. So I just need to make the sample start closer, right, you know, somewhere here. Let me just back that up because that's wrong. What am I doing here? Sample end needs to be way out, and the sample start, I'm going to put this at 0 for now and come and start that over again because I've got an issue with my sample end apparently. Here's the sample end, and the sample start is oddly placed. What is going on there? That must be a loop point. Huh. Oh, hang on. I think, there we go. Now I need to move my sample start a bit closer so that when I hit the key, right, then I can set my loop points and all that great stuff too, you know? Yeah, sorry about it being too loud at first. So yeah, and then I'll find a place to loop this. So when you hold the key down, it goes forever. That's about right. And right now, it's probably going to have a pop when it starts over. There it is. So if I adjust this loop point just a little bit here and make the fade now happen. So I just create a fade. As you can see, this little line slanting out here. As that goes through, it will actually loop without the pop now. So, things like that. And every one of these has to have its starting end. That one's okay. And this one has a bit of a harsh start on it. So I'll just kind of come back with that sample start and push it back a little bit more. Loud enough for you? But I played all those notes. I've done a lot of sampling with real instruments and with synths and all kinds of stuff, and creating all the stuff as well. But that's just like getting that portion out of the way, and then of course the interface, all of the samples I have to go and record, which is to be make for some fun videos, probably going out and like slamming my car door, turning it into something else, or doors in the house to make giant wooden doors, because this Lord of the Rings thing, I wanted it to have that sort of old world vibe, knocking on tree sounds and wood stuff, but also things that are like the Hardanger fiddle and low bass strings or whatever stuff that feels like Lord of the Rings, int speech, maybe. I think that'd be kind of cool. So for this original, for this sampler anyway, we can go in here and add some effects. So I just threw on a simple gain here just to make sure I could, get the original volume loud enough to not be quieter than the synth that's in there. And then I'm going to go and add in a little reverb unit. This is a basic standard reverb, a very simple reverb setup. And with that unit, I can figure out, some controls here, and then I can map those controls to the actual, what do you call it? Interface here, and then go in and tweak all that, and through programming and through script node and stuff, make it do crazy cooler stuff. So I mean, yeah, it's really, really cool, a lot of fun. I have some original synths and stuff, and I have some other audio effects plugins I've done in here, and another thing as well that I want to release and sell. I'm gonna probably try to sell them on Gumroad first. There's a couple of plug-in places, but they get weird about some stuff, so have to kind of be careful. But with this reverb now, and it's not perfect, but you get the idea. So let me see if I can turn the whole thing down. I need to put a main volume also on this thing. So just within here, I can probably throw out on this gain modulation. Probably that's just gain modulation though. Probably in here in the main effects, I will put a simple gain, and then we can use that to act as a volume control. So on that simple gain, I'm going to just have to create a new knob, probably somewhere here. For now, a generic knob, not one of my cool ones yet. And just, label it and so forth, and say, this guy is going to control the simple gain 1, which you have to find like so. And then the parameter ID will be the gain of the simple gain. So now when we edit this, that's not working because, let me just make sure the knob is going there, and it's probably because we do not have this set to decibels. Boom, decibel. And actually, you know what, we should probably do this with percentage, but we'll just try it. Nope, it works fine. So there's our main knob now for our volume for our whole thing. And if I want to throw in a couple of extra layers of sound there, and it doesn't sound like our flute now turns down. And for some reason, we're getting flute from that. So I mean, it's always a thing. I'm going to compile this real quick just to see if maybe that's what's happening with us here. So now I'm going to run. There we go. Compile your programming. So now it's playing all together. Thank you very much. So yeah. And you can save and create presets in the plugin, which is really cool too. If I add a bank in here, like I'm just going to go and click add, and this is all the programming the user can do. And we're going to say, and I don't want them to delete mine, but these are going to be the ones that stay. So this will be like, I got to think of clever names for this. This is the problem. Let's just call this organs. We're going to make a whole thing of organs. This will be the liver. Anyway, so within organs, now I can add a category. This is going to be, oh, I don't know, pipe, pipe organs, right? This is a really silly example. And then now I've got this, and then in here within pipe, I can add another preset because that is a category. And so we have organs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So within that preset, we can say church of, I'm trying to think of something Lord of the Rings, Elrond, let's just say. I'm just coming up with something silly. There's plenty of better choices here. So now, now this is getting cut off. I need to change the font size, but you get the idea. So this doesn't have to be organs. This one actually could be, let's say, spiritual. So this is a category now. Spiritual sounds, you know, and then within there, we can have this category be renamed and call this organs, you know. Boom, done. And then within the organs, we can have, you know, the pipe organ or whatever we want. That would probably be best, like the Church of Elrond or the, yeah, we could call it Church of Elrond. Sure, why not? Okay, cool. So now within these presets, I just click save, say okay. And so now this will stay. So if I added a new, let's say, category, let's say battle, right? I'm just making these up as I go. These will probably all change, no doubt. What you got there? Decibels are logarithmic, yes. How to mix our unity in there? Yep. Hey, James, what's up, man? Hey, you and Greg should talk too. James is a partner of mine, friend of mine that I've known for a long time. He lives in Albuquerque, and hopefully I'm going back up there. He worked on me a lot with my Witching Hour TV show and a whole bunch of other movies and stuff. James is a filmmaker as well. He's actually won 2 Emmys, as a matter of fact. 2, right? Let's see. So let's see. Yep. Learning to, yes, need to convert them. So battle. These are going to be battle sounds. This is a new category we just added. So now we're going to go over here and, so that's good. Within here, within battle, I'm going to put a new category and we're going to call that, war sounds or something, or let's see, let's just say angry, angry, I don't know, stuff. Okay. And this is just to show how these categories work. So that will be angry stuff. And within angry stuff, Now we can have things like, you know, screaming violins or whatever you're going to put in here. Okay. Violins and boom. So now when we come back here, okay, we're going to save that. So, yep, cool. So now we can come back here and look at battle sounds. I don't know why I'm not seeing my categories. Import all presets from the clipboard. I don't think we have any. All right, so this probably should have just been my original folder. So yeah, I'm not seeing, I think I screwed this up. Fun. So we're going to delete that. We got spiritual here, but this probably shouldn't say spiritual. This is going to be like, you know, instruments or whatever you're going to do. And so in organs, you know, this is where you would add stuff like, you know, mean organs. I need some sleep. And you would say, okay. And within spiritual now, you'll see with mean organs here, we add this and we go Bob's organ, which we don't talk about. Okay, because he always brings it with him. And we're going to say save preset. So now when we're in spiritual, this is supposed to show us more than one category here. I don't know why. And we got Bob's organ there. So back here in spiritual, we have mean organs. Now we can add another, you know, nice organs. We'll put that. How about that? And we'll say, okay. And so therefore, when we're in spiritual, we should get both those. I don't know why I'm not seeing this. I don't know why that's doing that so strangely. No, that's not from there. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into this. It always works, and right now, of course, it's not because I'm talking to people about it. It's how it works. So 3. He's got 3. Yeah. So kind of funny because yeah, when we met, he was the lead role for my zombie film that we got internationally distributed. I don't know if it's worth international distribution, but you know, it was a good time, and we've worked on a lot of stuff since then. Yeah, I'm not sure why this is not doing this correctly, because this is supposed to be giving me multiples. It's probably the font problem, like I told you. So let's just check on this and say, let's take our font size for here down to like 6 and see if maybe that helps. Ooh, we definitely have a lot more of this to see, but I want to actually change the font for inside of there. So let's see. I don't think I can set these from here. So I'm going to try and compile this real quick just to see if this helps. I'm still not seeing that. So this, we've got spiritual, that's fine, but we should be able to see multiples and scroll through them. And I'm not able to do so. If I click, we do get Bob's organ. We do get spiritual here. I just am not seeing other things. So there's nice organs. See, there's just, maybe they're too big for that, which I'm not sure, because there's no easy place to change that font size, which blows me away. I would have to do it within scripting, I suppose. So that's kind of a bummer. Let me see, because yeah, that font size is just for the interface. These actual parts here, yeah, do not have any kind of what do you call it? Change. So bummer. I'm gonna have to go and do that within the scripting. Anyway, you get the idea. Sorry about that. So we could, at any time, of course, we could. Gina, please. Okay. Well, here, give her this. Okay. At any time, of course, we can just take out sounds, add them in. Just use the flute. get the idea. Cool. Yeah, grave mistake. Don't look it up. It's the world's worst movie, really. But I finished it in 2007. There was probably what, James, 300 people that had come through with it, been in it, etc. Did about 300 makeups in there, probably. But I shot that for like 6 months. We had multiple locations. We shot it in multiple cities, all over the state. I mean, insane. And as bad as it was, the work that was done was just so beyond what anybody else was willing to try and do it in this whole state at the time. It was crazy. And we kind of got known for that. And then the witching hour thing and stuff. And even though, like I said, they weren't 100% top notch quality stuff that could have been done, I mean, we were doing the best we could. And it really went out there and got kind of known for a while. Got me jobs and everything else too, James too, I'm sure. Yeah, it was just a lot of fun as well. Met a lot of great people, and I don't speak to hardly any of them anymore. Unfortunately, I'm down here in Las Cruces, just sitting in my house with cardboard over the windows, quiet, doing my own thing. So there's that. So anyway, yeah. So these look great. They're coming along. I like the little flip outs there and the lights and whatever. So to add more sounds and stuff, I would either record or make other sounds. I do have other stuff that I can throw in immediately if I want, some knocks, some wood knocks and stuff. So we basically wind up going into one of our samplers, let's say the left one here, and creating another sample map here, and then coming over and finding some extra bits here, like let's just take and I'm realize I'm using sounds from other instruments I've made right now, but like if I wanted to just throw in some djembe sounds, okay, I recorded these as well in my house, and I'm just going to drag those right in like so. And here it'll ask me how I want to spread them out. And I'm going to have it detect the notes, which is great. And as those get put in there and spread out, I have to go through and check and make sure, of course, they are correct. I really didn't want to do that this time because I'm not doing this by notes. And I just remembered we're just doing this to put them right where we're sticking them. So I'm going to go probably down. Let's go with that C note right there being, we're going to start there. We're just going to go with the drop point. It's supposed to spread these out. Now, it's got these in velocity layers. So if I hit real light, we're going to get this bottom one. If I hit harder, the harder I hit, the different layers play. That's not really what I wanted to do either, but it's a very cool thing to be able to do that. But what I want to do is to drop these in where I'm putting them, to start on that key right there. And we're just going to say, just put them in where I put them, man. And we don't need metadata for mapping. And we'll see if they'll do it here. Yeah, here we go. So now we got... You better get off that mixer, cat. Get down. Get down. Grab the water bottle and get my cat. She just walks across the mixer. What do we got going on here? Yeah, I found it, and it's been in about 10 different horror movie collections in Walmart now, and other places. It was in Suncoast and everything else for quite a while. All right, man, take it easy. All right, so let's see. We've got some drums in there that I could go now and add back into everything. So if I saved this off, as a sample map, then, that would become exactly that. And what I might do is add a few more samples that I have to this, like, how about a little chicken shake action there, and probably a couple of, bells, forwards and reverse, and just drop them in right where they can go. And this will just kind of expand like a little drum library, you know what I mean? And so let's just do that. We don't need to do that. And boom, pow, there we go. So now it was weird seeing my face on the shelf on Walmart. Yeah, I know, right? It was weird seeing my name on it too. Seth, all you guys were in there. It was absolutely hilarious when I saw that originally. I was like, here it is. I think we went together, didn't we? Or no? I don't remember now. So let's see what we got here. So this one. And that can be our high one. And then this low one will be here. And I'm just going to stretch that sucker out to continue with lower and lower beats. And of course, I'd have to adjust the volumes and so forth. That's just a matter of going into our lovely sample editor here and finding those samples and upping the volume if we need, a little bit like so. Try and do this one here, to that one definitely should be raised. You can see the sample is quite small. So now and then the next one up, we just will do the same thing. Because these are like one shots, I know that I can select these to be one shots. I don't remember where it is at the moment. Is it this guy? Loop finder, being pitched. This is our enable the loop range, sample start. This is just different places to set these. Single selection cycling, is that the one I want? I don't remember, but anyway, you can set these to be one shots. I just have to remember where it's at. It's probably down here. I do not remember, but I'll figure it out. Because you don't want them to stop when you lift the key up. It's something like this. You want it to run all the way through to a certain point. So you can set this to have its sample end, where you choose to set that end. And then you can set it to loop start, loop end, pitch, pan. Where is that? Is this the playthrough? Nope, that is not it. That's just to play it. But see, this is the way I want it to work. So I need to figure out how to find the play all the way through interface of the script. Zero crossing, loop finder, options for release start mode. So this should be it, I think. No, that is not it. It's in here somewhere though, where it's got front to back. So if you hold it down, you can make it set for looping if you want. I just can't remember where it is to do the one. It's called being a one shot, but it's in here somewhere. I just cannot remember where. So great sounding stuff. I recorded these in my house as well. One day we sat here and worked on a lot of this stuff. Got all these down. I did some singing for my plugin. It was the Voices of the Damned, like a vampire choir. Still need to release that one. I get really excited about stuff, and then I get most of the way there, then something happens, in my life or whatever. So, or the cat, you can hear her in the background right now doing her thing. No, I'm kidding. But it seems like, life derails all my best plans these days. So that's why I need to get back up to where other folks can be around that say, no, Sean, don't quit. That'd make me very happy right now. You know, have some get-togethers again like we used to, some karaoke parties and whatnot, and just have a good time. Enjoy life. All right, so this one, obviously, the start, it's there, but it's coming a little late, plus the volume's very low. So if I that's me rubbing the drum head. That's code for, well, hang on, let me go to the next one. There's a little bell sound, which I think I can up that and start the sample just a little sooner. Let's see. I don't know why we're getting a bit of a, there we go. And if I wanted to, I could start on the harder portion of this to where it sounded more of like a, yeah, it's a little bit stronger. All right, and then our next one, that is a reverse sample. So we can set that starting a little better as well. That's fine. And then the next one, and you just kind of keep going up. So, you know, just say change the sample start to where you want it, volume where you want it. Pretty easy. Not just totally easy, but you know what I mean. There has to be a lot of stuff done, but it's quite cool to be able to do it, I guess. And one more. Let's just go ahead and get the sample start of that one set up, and probably go ahead and turn the volume up on that one a little bit. That way you can control pretty much every single sound, you know? So now we've created a little drum. Which I think goes pretty cool together here. So now I need to actually save this out within that sampler as a new map. So we're just gonna click right on there and call this int drums. How about that? So I'll just go int drums. Why not? I don't know if they're int drums. These are probably more like you know, some type of battle drums, but hey, do what I want. And now within here, if we jump back out of this sampler and go back to our main interface, we need to put that business up in here. So it is, I'm just going to check in the sampler again what it's called, specifically int drums, just like that. And when we run back over to these guys, and it says, you know, overrun by script, overwritten by script, we can come back in here and get these guys in here. I just need to make sure of why I can't see how to get this here. So they do work all here. That is not a problem. I have to recompile probably. So let me save that one. That's good. And now we're going to go back and hopefully, anyway, recompiling this will bring them up. So we do have them here. And now if we bring up this Caliborn's Dream. Now it is playing at the same time, but we could record this in two separate tracks with two separate instances of the plugin. Now this does need a second oscillator for this synth. Number of ways I could do it, I guess. I could probably make this knob smaller and connect the other one to it to get both of those controllable from the main interface here. So I can knock this down like this and just get that whatever size makes sense. Put it here for the moment. And then, of course, we'll change the size of it here. So right now it's 0.06. We're going to try a 0.05 just to see if that still fits in our 05. Enter. No, we're going to need to go with a, well, maybe it will if I do this bit. And let's just see if we like where this is at. I think it's okay. I'm going to make a second one of these. So we're going to duplicate this actual knob here, right there. And I'm going to right click it. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to Control D. And we're going to stick this one next to this. Obviously, they're just a little bit too big. So once again, I just kind of change the size here. So 0.045. Let's try that. Perfect. This one now will do the same. And we have to change what it controls. Very important because otherwise they'll just do the same thing. So 045. Also, we've got synth 1 and 2. We're going to put oscillator 1 and 2 here. And what's going to happen is on these knobs, let's see, this is going to be knob 6. So I'm going to put this one back here where my knob 1 is, so they're kind of close together when I'm looking at it. But knob 1, this is controlling the gain of oscillator 1. This knob now needs to control oscillator 1, but this is going to be gain 2. So where are we at? Gain, and we need to make sure that we are on gain 2. But let me just check on that actual oscillator here. Where is it? Right here. We've got the mix. All right, so don't really want to do mix because with mix, this is just going to go left or right, which this one can already do on its own. So what I'm going to do is turn off the second oscillator completely. I think that's all right. As a matter of fact, we'll make a small button. So let's not do that. We're going to make a small button that goes right above this one. That's going to be for the 2 different oscillators. And this one is going to be now a second waveform generator. So right here, there's that one. We're going to make a second one right up in here. We're going to say in DeLorean plug-in here, we're going to say make us another wavetable generator. And this one, waveform generator, my bad, keep saying that. We're going to call it oscillator 2. And I keep confusing myself. I should have never done this. So I'm going to put oscillator 2, OSC with capital letters, just so it matches the other one, 2, and that one exists now. So this knob is going to control the gain of oscillator 2. Right now I'm not seeing it. We probably have to compile. And then once that is good, I'm going to click on that second one, go to oscillator 2, and the gain of that. So right now it's got nothing going on in it. I haven't done anything special to it. In fact, we're going to disable the second one. And we're going to turn this one into, I don't know, let's use a square. And we'll have a setting. We'll have settings for this here shortly too. And then this first one here, we're going to have that one right now in oscillator 1 be a, let's make this a, why not a triangle? Whatever. Fine. And this one is a lower octave, so I'm going to turn down these other things, the drums and that. So now we turn this one up. So we have these default envelopes, and then this is an AHDSR that is attached to the oscillator 1. So that's what this here is for. I'm thinking if we take our first oscillator volume and just take this guy and stick it up here, then we'll know that this is for that. And if we take the second one and put it under there, very messy, but we can know that this one is for that. So basically, I'm going to take this and make it a little bit smaller. We're not going to see any of the cool gears and stuff working inside of there probably, but let's just go to 0.04 and enter that, and then we'll do this one at 0.04 as well. And it's fine because this is more about the functionality, I think, on any of this. But so these two should fit just fine here now. In fact, we can take these and at least chop down this side of this window. I think that'll be fine. So there we go. And so now this one controls this guy, and then we'll make a whole other waveform, or envelope, I should say, an ADSR for this one. So this will be called, oscillator OSC1 right there, just like a standard synth would be. And we can duplicate that label now. I'm just going to Control D, and we can pull that one down to here and know that this one is for that. Matter of fact, let's move them in a bit more, and then we can, of course, add other controls because these are, here to be controlled. It's a Jamesism. Let me find my labels here. So that was my OSC1, OSC2. The third one is, where's this one? So this is why you always label, which we've got here. I'm just going to put these with the others. And this one's going to be just a little bit closer with arid extra dry. Okay, cool. Down slightly. Okay, now they're pretty much the same. Alrighty, so you get the idea. So, and with this working now, and we could put other controls for these as well and turn on their second oscillators, and we can control the mix using this knob instead of just the volume. So this will be pretty cool to have. Enable the second one, we can now go through and make this knob here and have 4 sounds happening at the same time here. And we're going to control mix instead of gain, which is going to be, the gain was going to be, this guy up here. So the mix is going to go back and forth. This gain will stay up all the time. So we'll do the same thing here, and this is going to control the gain of it, the other one, of oscillator 2, and that one will also be mix now. And so we're not going to worry about the ADSR in the second one just yet. We're just going to make sure that they're both enabled for both oscillators. So right here, this one's got a saw and a square. Let's go ahead and make this one not a saw and a square. And this one's being very strange. Hopefully we won't crash. Let's compile now. And then we're going to make this one very difficult. It does not want to do what I'm wanting to do. I'll figure this out in a sec, but I'll bet you it's because something is blocking that by. There we go. And we're going to make this one like a triangle and a square too. This first one is going to be a triangle, but let's make that something different. A sine and a saw. Cool. So now we can come in here and we'll have 4 different sounds that can play at the same time. This mix will be, either off on, which is going to be left or right, to be honest with you. we can mix between all those. And then, of course, bring in these others. And I'm probably going to put some pads down for the drums and stuff. That way we can use the flutes. Okay, so this first oscillator does have, actually this has gain, and this flute has simple reverb to it. And that might be something we want for sure. So I would say this wet level and room size might be a good, I'm gonna turn down the others for now, both of these. Not sure why we still have, oh, because these are going just left and right sounds here now. These are not, so these knobs are going to have to change. We have a left and right knob for these, because they're like pan knobs, and not use these as volume knobs. So either way, we do need a volume knob for this entire oscillator or set of oscillators as well. So I'll probably stick one right about here. In fact, let's do that. I'm just going to come in here and right click, add a new slider. With this slider, automatically we can run in and go grab different artwork, which I've made already. And we'll just check out in here. Let me just see if I've got an appropriate knob. I just want something that's kind of wooden looking or something like that for now. All of this obviously can be changed. Some of these are mine. 90% of these are mine. Some of these may not be, but that is something not what I'm looking for. These are textures for a knob. Let me just find what I'm looking for. I can just find a straight image for this as well. It does not have to be a strip. You know what I mean? So check knob 4. What does this one say? Not really what I'm looking for, but you know, it could be used. Let's see here. We'll just check some of these. Definitely not that one. Check some of these. That's textures for building a knob. Try knob 2. I do not see this as render. Here we go. Some renders here. Not what I want, but let's go ahead and use it. So I'm going to take this. It should load up. Let me find out how many frames that has, and that will make the difference. So if we look in for this knob, which was knob 2, just going to go here, NLP. So let's just find knob 2 right here. And this says it has 30 frames, or at least 29. So we're going to have to put this in here. So I'm going to go with 29 to start with, see if it works. It looks like it does. So I'm just going to, it's a huge knob, by the way. Thank you very much. That's very nice of you. So I'm going to just come down here, scale factor, and go like 0.2. See where that lands us. That's better. Let's go now to 0.1, about half that size. 0.1, enter, and that will work. I'm just going to grab the corner of that and pull it up where it goes. This is not going to be the final knob we use for this, but just the same. In fact, this could be this knob, etc., etc. Okay, this is just the back and forth. This one probably should be that back and forth now that I think about it. So why don't we do that? This particular knob, this one, what we have here is got normalized percentage. That's the standard, which is good, but I want to make this one do what that one is doing. So we go with oscillator 1, and we're going to say mix. And right now, it doesn't seem to want to work for that. So I'm going to come down here now again and see if 30 works for that, which it does. So we're just going to put that like so. I'm not sure why that made a difference. We're going to go pan on this guy and 100 and so forth and so on. And that should work. So we're going to compile just to be safe. And I'm going to test this. I'm going to remove also that number we see here, but it does seem to work. So this is goes pretty much to 0 and back to 10,000 that way, 10,000 this way. If we go duplicate, that should hit in the center, double click, 0 left. It's a little off, but that's okay. That's probably the way I made the knob. So for now, this one will be our left and right sound, and this one now is going to wind up being our probably volume control. So I'm just going to go back into that and make sure this goes 0 to 1. Middle position is 0. And we're going to turn off this show text box. And we're going to turn on the value pop-up. We're going to put that below. So that what that means is the little number will not be in the middle anymore. But when we do this, we'll get a nice little readout across the bottom. So 10,000 to 10,000. And in all honesty, I think that this, oh yeah, because this is left, this is right, but I don't want to go with that step size. Let's try the 0.1 step size, see what happens. That's a little better. And then now let's try a 0.01 step size and maybe better. So I kind of don't like that readout being done that way. What I would rather have is just like a 1 to 10 or percentage readout. But we can't get left and right readouts with a percentage, I don't believe. So I'm just going to leave those. And if we have to, we can turn off this and just use, what do you call it? The indicator, put a little line here that says left or right. This isn't a great one either because it shows it getting stronger. It doesn't matter for right now. And then this one will now be the gain for that oscillator 1. And as far as I know, our oscillator 1 does not have a simple gain, which we do need in those to make that work. So oscillator 1 gain, oh yeah, it will work. There's a volume knob at the top right here. So now we're going to test that, make sure it works. I'm going to go ahead and compile just to be safe. And let's see if that is doing what we want. And it looks good, except for it's going to drop out super fast there. I don't know if that's the best way to have that handled. So once again, jump in, test it, check it, do the thing. 0 to 1, -5. This is kind of typically the way it goes though. So I'm gonna try it. Works for me. It's fine. So we're going to do the same thing to this guy right here, only we're going to use the other oscillator, and this is going to be gain for it. No problem. Everything is already set to go. I'm going to duplicate this one here, only we're going to set it, of course, for oscillator 2. And we're going to even change this label right here for oscillator 2 by putting a 2. Imagine that. Enter. And that will say 1. This one will say 2. We can even move those around to make them have a little better position. But for now, this is going to be what it is. And then this one specifically got to be for oscillator 2. And now when we compile these, we'll have volume knobs and left and right panning. So I'm going to need to go through and make sure that one works right. This one, I'll make sure it's working properly because the other one really isn't. And we're going to check now because that might not be the way that these need to be set up because something seems a little odd. I'm going to now go to that specifically. We see that it's for the mix knob. In my opinion, it should be left and right, but it doesn't mean that's so. We got negative 100, positive 100. I'm using pan. Step size is a 1, and that might be our problem, but I don't think so. So let's just check on oscillator 1 what we're doing with this knob. So this is mixing, but you see it's just popping left and right. We don't want that. We want this to go in a step size probably like so. I'm going to compile just to be safe. And then this still just pops from 100 to other. So what I'm going to do now is come back and try to figure which way this should go. So instead of a negative 100, I'm going to do a negative 1. So a negative 1 to a 1. And this might make it work. It just depends. These are all set up differently. So let's find out. This does work better, but we're getting our halfway mark is wrong. It says it's right, but for whatever reason, it is not doing that appropriately. So I'm going to go to 1, see if maybe this helps it. And that doesn't seem any better. It's just going to switch on or off now. So I thought negative 1 to 1 would work. Step size 1 obviously doesn't. I'm going to try this again. The step size is better, but you notice at the half mark, that's our 0. So we need to go do something else. So what I'm thinking is, instead of pan, this is going to have to be something else. It really does need to be that double direction like the pan does. I'm going to try discrete and see if it makes any difference. This is still going. Let's recompile though. And this is still seeming to go from 0 all the way to the half mark, and then it starts coming up, which we don't want. This generally doesn't work this badly. So this, let's see. Let me see. I don't think locked is going to make any difference on that because I don't think that means, I think you just can't mess with it once you set them. So negative 1 and 1. So I'm going to try and go to pan, and I'm going to go from 0 to 1, and that might be a dual 0 to 1 when it's on pan mode. So that could be true, or I could be full of crap. So let's just try compiling that now and see if when this is in the middle, it goes from here and it goes to here. Man, I'm so good. That is exactly what we needed. So 0 to 1 still works. 50%, yeah, that's halfway through. Makes perfect sense. So on this now, we need to set this to a much lower number so that this moves completely smooth while we're doing it. And looks like everything is pretty good. Now we're going to do the same thing to the other one and make sure that oscillator 2 has a 0 to a 1. We're going to pan back and forth. We're going to use the step size of 01 as well. And the middle position should be, I think it's 0.5. I mean, I know it's 0.5, but I just want to make sure that y'all were listening. I have 0 set here, but I don't know if it makes a difference if I do put it in or not. That's what he said. Let's just find out So that looks right. So 50% is, yeah, my knob's a little bit off, so that's totally fine. And that's what he said too. So let's just kind of take a look at first one here and listen to how this sounds. And I'm going to turn off the flute so that that's not interfering. And let's listen to it. It works, but I can still hear a little bit of that other one in there. So let's go ahead and compile. We're going to clear the console here. And I think that's working just fine. Let me just double check on what it looks like in the actual oscillator unit. Yep, that is correct. So now we're going to check by turning this one down and check the other oscillator unit or the wave generator and turn it up. And now we're going to see just the square wave and just the triangle. Cool. And then of course we can, what? Huh? Yep, everything seems to be working there just fine, and we can not really able to soften the beginning of the note. I don't know why. It's like our AHDSR is no longer connected, so we have to go check that out now. Back to our envelope. It says it's good here, but maybe the default. I'm not sure why that's not working all of a sudden. And I know that is on oscillator 2. Oh, because we don't have an envelope there. Imagine that. So let's go ahead and turn this on for editing. Turn this one down. I'm so embarrassed. So we'll turn this one on. And it is working. I just need to go back into our default, make sure our attack time is correct. So now when we come in here, we will have dual oscillator joy. I'm going to make sure on this first one that we in fact do have what we want. I'm going to change this saw over to, let's change it over to a triangle. And then when we flip it between these, that's good. I also want to make sure that in here, so pulse width is nothing when you're in a triangle or something other than a square or a trapezoid. So that's pretty good for that. Let's turn on the other. Cool. And I want to put some type of effect on, some type of effects also on our, what do you call it? Our synthesizer as well. Because right now we don't have any effects running specifically through it. So I'm going to pull down the Galadriel flute and Celeborn Dream there. And I want to run effects, either both oscillators running to it, or all four oscillators, I should say. Or I'm thinking that we might want to do them separately, because it would be cool to control different things with different amounts. So I think on the oscillator 1, we're going to throw on, at least to start with, a reverb, a simple reverb on sampler, not sampler 1, sorry, on our, let me close these up, I'm getting confused here, on our oscillator 1. So here, yes, we're gonna add this simple reverb. All right, so oscillator 2 seems to be much louder. I'm going to double check, and it might be, of course, the reverb level. No, it is its main volume, so I'm just going to make sure it's loud enough, and it's really not. Not sure why there's not a lot of volume to it. I'm going to come here and double check. Let's recompile too, just to make sure everything's good. And with that, we've lost all of our sound. There we go. All right, so I'm going to turn off the reverb. I think it's coming from our envelope, possibly. All right, so it isn't that. Let's check the default envelope. That is making no difference either. So it's going to be within, possibly not in there. It's going to be within the oscillator itself somehow.
Where are you?
All right, so everything seems normal, but the second oscillator has a lot more power to it. I'm not exactly sure why. This first has a default, and it does have the 80H SR. So this very well may be what's causing the delay. So I'm going to turn its power off and check if that is the case. So I'm going to pull oscillator 2 down. I'm going to turn on oscillator 1. Also going to turn off its reverb. For some reason, it's kind of running away with itself, and that's because of the release time being up so hard here. And that could also be here because of the type of waves we're using, because this is, let me just open right here, a sine and a triangle, and the triangle can have that same kind of lack of punch as some of the others. So I'm going to use, the noise obviously comes up just fine. Square is a lot louder. What I'd like to also do is modulate that pulse width, which would be really cool. So if we take our mix, is it mix modulation I want? And we go with a time variant LFO modulator. Let's see, I want that applied to the pulse width specifically. I've done some what do you call it, modular synthesis, and so I know pulse width modulating is amazing and very cool. So trying to figure out exactly where I can do that. So this is just pitch modulation, mix modulation, effects, and and this is going to be oscillator to pitch. This is mix. So this is just our effects, which in here, if we have an LFO that can modulate, the pulse width, that would be fantastic. I don't know if that's possible with just hookups like I'm doing here. So I don't see anything there just off the bat. So once again, let's just see. There's pitch, effects, gain, and so forth. So I don't know if that's possible. That's a real shame that we can't plug that straight into pulse width, because otherwise you'd get this, and we don't have that. So we need to run a sine wave into this pulse width somehow. So straight off of here, I don't think there is a way that I can put an LFO. There's pitch, there's that, there's mix oscillation, oscillator to pitch modulation, which we don't need, pitch modulation. That's just going to go wee or wee or wee. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. So there's a random modulator. I'm wondering here if there is a way. So I don't want to do, random pitches. Good question, buddy. I've gotten myself all confused now to see if that is possible, because we want that phasing sound. And granted, we could use a phaser, but it'd be cool if we were using the actual pulse width to do it. And I have no idea how to do it in here, because this mix modulation, I think, is just going to be, LFO and so forth. Pitch wheel, things like that. Voice start. Unless we can do some type of macro, which I don't know if that's even possible to do, because then I have to learn how to hook up a macro. So in here, and these are our macros right here. If I am on, let's say, oscillator 1, I'm going to come back off of this and go back onto our oscillator 1. This is just what the knob's going to control. If I make a new knob, though, this may be how we do it. We're just going to add a new slider for the heck of it here, just randomly here. I'm going to try and connect this to the pulse width here and make that oscillate. So knob 9, processor ID, let's go into oscillator 1. And then parameter is going to be our pulse width right here. And now we need to connect some type of automation with this. So let me find out if there's a way. That's just our knob for now. And that pulse width, this is going to be a percentage, 0 to 1.5. And I'm going to just try and see how this knob can control that pulse width, but also be automated. And this has an automation ID. I'm sure that's how that is done. But I need to link this to some type of something that can be automated. Now, I know we can link this to a sort of a hidden, attack control or something like that. I just don't want it actually changing the sound as well. So I don't know as far as that goes. So this knob here anyway, might be able to work with a macro. I don't know if that's how macros work though. So this says -1. If we put this on a macro 1 and we do this as far as automation ID doesn't do that default value, nope. And I'm just wondering if this macro on here can in fact control something involving this. I guess not. Linked to knob 9 is what it is, but I don't know how that also does anything for us. We can't even click knob 9, just clicks everything except for knob 9. So this would need to connect to something else that can be changed. So maybe if I made a new LFO somehow in here somewhere, I'm going to close up this. I'm going to, let's see if we can just throw it into, I don't know if effects can just pop out an LFO here. We're just going to find out. Parametric EQs. None of this is modulation based, though, is the only thing. So I need to figure out how to use a modulator connected to this knob. So if we can create a unit that can be in charge somehow of that pulse width, I don't think that's how this is going to work, because this doesn't make sense that we can't do this. It really doesn't. Because mix modulation is just going to be, you know, like we can put an LFO here, like so. But this is not really going to be, that's controlling the mix, like the volume, you know. That's not really controlling the pulse width specifically. So that is not what we want. We don't want pitch. We need something specifically coming out of this oscillator, which these do, but not that. Perhaps we can do an effect coming out of this oscillator that is specifically for pulse width, but I don't think there is something, unless, of course, it is called, maybe the shape effects will do it. This is more of a bit reduction thing. So that's more of a like a bit reduction. If we go here to the different versions, not what I'm looking for. The saturation, square root, not it. Okay, so not that. So shape is not the one. I don't believe there is something, though, that I can do this with without actual code. So I'm going to just check around a little bit. We need something, though. It kind of works like a phaser, but it's not truly a phaser. I mean, I really want to be able to control the you know, the depth of that square wave. And it's not, I mean, they're just kind of like audio effects, you know? So we might have to go into script node or something like that. We don't want to use this hard coded because it's something we export and bring back in kind of thing. Harmonic filter, I don't think will work the same way at all, but I'm going to check it. It's kind of like it. Okay. That is not so much working. I'm hearing no change. I mean, I see what it's doing, but I'm not hearing any real change in the sound. No harmonics, nothing like so. I don't know why. I'm even using like 16 bands or 8 bands here. Okay, there's a little, and that's very little for that much work. It's kind of cool. It's like a glass harmonica. Not really impressed with that overall, but we can still use it. So this knob now is going to go to our harmonic filter coming off of oscillator 1's effects. So oscillator 1, we're going to go with oscillator 1. Not sure why I'm not seeing it here. Oscillator 1. Oscillator 1 FX harmonic filter. And it should be visible. Maybe it's considered hard sync. I haven't seen any other name. And that is definitely not doing it. So let's find it. I don't know why. I mean, obviously we can affect pulse width. We need to recompile too. That is not even doing that. I'm confused. So we're going to go back into edit here. On this knob, I do have it controlled with a macro. So let's check that macro now and turn on our edit mode again real quick first. I don't know if that's helping or affecting it one way or the other. And this says to knob, let's see if we can get good on. No, we cannot. So I'm going to turn that off. We don't need to worry about any macro stuff here. Either way, it's not working. So knob 9 ain't doing nothing. We have oscillator 1, but we want this. Actually, we want harmonic filter. Yes, that is the unit we want. And for that, we are going to turn the, what is this here? What is this slider? I don't know what that's for. The harmonic spectrum A and B. So this is going to be the crossfade. So now when we do this, this will work. But now we need to somehow add in here modulation with this right here. So X fade modulation, we're just going to use an LFO right here. And the So now this frequency modulation might be kind of cool to add another modulator to by just jumping up here and throwing on an LFO. So they're going to kind of bounce around because their frequencies are different. If I take this off and put in random, so that's cool, but it's not as intense as I would like. Huh? What? Just did that for nothing, huh? Very weird. Okay. So I'm not sure that has anything to do with what I'm trying to do for a Lord of the Rings sounding instrument. Um, Yeah, I'm not sure that has anything to do with anything that I'm wanting to achieve there. I don't really like what's happening with the filter. It's not what I intended either. So we'll need to put on some stuff like a little phasing maybe. Would be kind of nice. So let's find something like a filter now. Use a low pass. That works for me. And we're going to make this knob kind of control the frequency of this filter, I think. Yeah. So we're just going to go with and I'm lying if I didn't say I was lying. Let's turn that off for the moment. And for this oscillator 1, let's go ahead and throw on a reverb. How about a delay? Let's throw on a delay. So we've got now a delay in here, which makes a lot more sense. So this can just be sitting in the background for now. I'm going to use this instead of harmonic filter. We're going to go with that delay unit from oscillator 1. And it's just going to be called delay 1 on oscillator 1. We need to recompile so we can see it. This particular knob right here. And we're going to say delay 1. We're going to use the I guess the mix of it. So how much we can hear of it. I'm going to crank up some of my other stuff. So the flute really needs its envelope set, especially the flute. So we need to figure out a way using our simple envelope to make sure its release time is correct. So the sampler, that's where we're at, is our sampler, either left or right for now. I'm going to go with this default envelope. And I believe I'm going to turn down everything here. And I believe that if I hold this and it loops like it should, we'll see if it loops. And when I let go, we should get that release time instead of it just cutting off. I'm going to check the sampler, make sure we are in fact looping. Hang on. Here we go. So this is our sample editor. I'm going to check on the looping here. Now we should loop when it comes through this section, no problem. And what I want is when I release, I want it to have that trail anywhere I release. Cool. So that is working. Each sample, you need to make sure that that can happen on. All right, so this one also needs its timing fixed. Okay, so this guy we're going to check, and you can see that that one also has not had its initial start set. So we just bump this up a little bit right to here. This also needs its end brought way in. So, and of course it's looping set somewhere in the center here, and then its fade also set. So the volumes of these are very important that they're similar. So basically you can come in here and grab all your samples like so. And then once they're all selected, you can right click and you can, in tools, you can trim the sample starts of these if you want. So I'm just going to say cancel. And you can come in here also in tools and you can, that is not where this is actually. What I want to do is actually, what is it? What I was going to do? Now I can't remember. I need to check the looping for all of them for starters. That's very important. But there was something I was going to do here to normalize all of them. So if we select one, there should be a normalize function here somewhere. I know there is, but I don't know where it is. So here, let's find out if it's this. Should be show options for release start mode, normalize selected samples. And this is going to be probably too loud. And what it's doing basically is just going through and making sure all of them are as loud as they can be without peaking out. So we're going to try this one more time for all of them and see if we get, similar sounding normalization. So I'm just going to check all of these, just kind of get a look. Okay, that's as loud as they can go without peaking. I'm worried, I'm thinking that there is an overlap, but maybe there isn't. Okay, I think that looks okay. Those look pretty okay. I'm going to have to hear them as well because some of these will sound quieter just by perception alone. Perfect. Now this sample here has too hard of a start, and that's because I know that I set its initial loop start to chop off that front bit a little bit. So I'm going to come out of the loop mode. We're going to be in the sample mode now, and just the loops, not the loop start, I'm sorry. The the sample start, that's what I want. We can come in just a hair more, but just a hair more, like maybe there. This one also has too hard of a start. You can see it right there. So we're just going to go back that one out slightly. And I believe we can zoom in to this pretty good if we want to. Let me just find that out. That's just our view. There we go. I know we could. I just couldn't remember where it was, I mean. So we're just going to back this up a little bit, maybe to there. Now this one feels a bit louder than the rest, so I'm just going to grab it and go ahead and take its volume down slightly. I think I'm going to delete this sample actually, because it is so harsh. The nice thing that we can just do is pull that out and then take this one and just drop down its lower notes where we don't have to worry about that one anymore. So let's just test it. Much better. Okay, that's working for me better. Alrighty then. So back on now to, just gonna make sure everything's going well over here. And then back on now to the regular side of the plugin here. What is this knob doing again? The delay mix. Let me make sure that's what's happening to it. That's not doing that. So we're gonna take this. Oh, that's because, never mind. That was for the synth, which we don't have on. This is for the flute. So on sampler L, we do not have delay, and we don't even have reverb on this one. Now, if I turn this one to turn it down and turn this one up and put on the flute here, so we need to make sure that these are very similar. So this particular sampler probably has its envelope not set the same, which it really needs to be. So this default envelope here has 5 and 642 in the linear mode. This one, this is a simple envelope. And so this one is set to default as 624. This one will also need to be somewhere around 624. So the release is the same. That's what she said. So this is just the flute on this sampler right. So I'm going to double check all of this stuff now, making sure it is the same as sampler left. So we have this simple gain here. All of this stuff is the same, but does not, unfortunately, seem to sound the same. So I'm going to close up some things we don't need. And that's because on sampler right, we haven't edited any of the samples like we did the sampler on the left. So this one, I'm just going to close up some stuff here, and we're just going to look Let's undo what I just did. So I got rid of our envelope by accident. So I'm just going to go in here to our envelope and just give us the simple envelope back. My bad. So we're going to go back in here and just put this back to 624. Somewhere in there. Close enough. I'm going to close that out. All right. So now within the sampler itself, we need to go into our actual samples. And all we want to be doing is looking at the sampler. I'm going to close all of these. We're looking at now just the sampler and just the samples. Let me go ahead and clear out this console, compile it. And here you can see we are still cut off on this side because this is not the same sampler, but they are the same samples. And this, evidently, this particular sample map is a separate one over here because there's a sample map too. So if we adjust our sample start a little bit just here, we'll get a much better working. And we're going to have to check now the other samples. This one's probably going to hit hard. Okay, so we can take all of these samples now, and with the ones selected, we will normalize them. And we're going to get a couple loud ones now. So for the most part, this one feels so overly normalized. I'm going to do these one at a time. And that one seems okay. A little bit of a harsh start on that one. You can see it right here. So we're just going to bring that sample start up. And that one is a bit harsh. We will have to set the loops. That one is the one we want to delete because it's just a garish note. So I'm just going to take it and we're going to just delete it. I think there was more than one there, but we're going to take this one now and give it a little bump over. So for the most part, those are correct. So good to go. All right. So I'm just going to make sure that our loop points work on all of these. So that one's good. This one does not have them set. So we're going to turn them on, figure out where they go. So I'm just going to hit loop here and we're going to set our looping points. We're going to turn on enable loop range editing and we're going to click the loop and I'm going to move this over to somewhere kind of appropriate for so we get that pop. Now we're going to go ahead and fade that back in. And we've got a perfect loop there. Let's try the next. We need to turn on our loop for it as well. Right here. And we need to set those loop points to somewhere here toward the middle-ish area. Something maybe like this. I'm going to up the loop because I already know it needs, or the fade because I know it needs to happen. Works for me. We'll move on now to let's grab our loop for this area. Somewhere in the middle. We can also set this sample end to be closer. Not only that, I think this sample start might sound better if it was here. I don't know. We'll find out. So that's too harsh. I'm just trying to see if there's a better. There we go. Check the loop. We do need to set the fade, so I'll just do that. Works perfect. We can set the sample in for this as well. It helps because it's less processing for sound it's never going to hear anyway. We can set our loops now and make sure that that is on. And we can just say, hey, loop from about here to about here-ish. Perfect. This one will need to be set as well. And we can set the loop for it. I'm just going to loop it through this later half here and see what that sounds like. We're going to turn on the fade, though. We need a bit of that, so see what happens. Not sure why this fade is jumping back here. Very weird. So I'm going to move my mouse because maybe it's picking up on that. No. Okay. Not really sure that I understand what happens there. So the loop end should be where it is. The loop start should be where it is. Maybe we'll move that back and just, I'm going to try to play and see. Weird that it keeps jumping back on its own. It sounds fine, so I'm going to leave it, but still strange. So now this one is quite the angry sounding note, in my opinion. I'm going to set the, I'm not even seeing the playthrough of it, which I don't understand. So let's go ahead and set that. That's for the looping. We're not seeing the playthrough of it, though, which I find odd. And I'm going to set the loop fade here. And try to I'm wondering if we have more than one here. So I'm going to delete this just real quick and or move it. It looks like we have more than one, which I don't want. So let's undo. I don't know where this one is supposed to be. I think there's two notes playing at the same time. So I'm going to stick that one down and try this again. That is definitely not the right one. That one goes on a higher E somewhere up here. And then this one should be where it was. I do not know why that happens sometimes, but it does. And then this one should be stuck here. This one can move back where it was, I hope. Yeah, it looks like we got some overlaps here, which I don't like. So this is a very odd one. And that is why we were getting that weird loop. We can fix the volume of that one a little bit. That was a little much. And the sample end can come in. And then, of course, our loop must be on. Just through here. And just through here. Get our fade going. I have to test every one. Okay, there must be an overlap, of course, of this guy. Right here, this one. And we do not want that to be happening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the low key of this guy. And then we'll test this one. And obviously that is not in the correct range. The cat's really mad at me. So that's obviously going to be too high. So I might have to fix this tomorrow. And it's possible that that one's going to be deleted for now. And then I'm going to up the high key of this one. So this one has a bit of a harsh sound and start. The volume's going to come down a little bit on it. And if we want, we can get that sample start just a bit more. I don't know. I kind of like it though, with that on there, because it's high and shrill on purpose. So these can be a little bit quieter. All right, so I'm going to go through, take care of all this, get it done, and cool. Well, I hope you guys have had a good time checking me out the last couple hours. There'll be more. Take it easy.